I just recommend strongly that you don't use Tylenol. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
U.S. President Donald Trump there making the claim not found in scientific evidence that using the common painkiller during pregnancy leads to an increased risk of autism in children. The advice goes against decades of science. The announcement came from the White House on Monday and has since received pushback from medical experts around the globe. Health Canada is one of the agencies, saying there is no conclusive evidence that using acetaminophen as directed during pregnancy causes autism or other neurodevelopmental disorders, adding, acetaminophen is commonly used to relieve pain and reduce fever. It has been used safely by millions of Canadians for decades, including during pregnancy and while breastfeeding. The message from the Trump administration is the latest in a series of moves that many experts have characterized as an attack on science, leaving them confounded and concerned. Joining me now is Alina Cameron. She's the president of the Ontario Autism Coalition. She's also a mom to 3 kids, and her daughter, who's 10, Fiona, is autistic, and she joins me from Slate River. Nice to see you this morning, Alina.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm sure you either watched the press conference by the president or saw clips later that day, and I wonder what was going through your mind as you listened to him.
Oh, I was very upset. I was angry. As a parent, as a leader of a community in Ontario that supports and speaks for autistic people, and as an epidemiologist who focuses on science, population level science, I was irate, to say the least.
And What were people around you saying? I don't know if your daughter saw this. Like, what were people around you saying in your family or your community?
Immediately confusion. A lot of parents were they were concerned about the rhetoric being used around autism. Yeah. Language matters, and when we start using stigmatizing language, you immediately start worrying about yourself as a self-advocate or for your family member who is autistic. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest concern, I think.
And then the other side of it is of course people who are pregnant or were thinking about being pregnant, and the advice about Tylenol as well. What did you make of that, and whether that could have an impact on those people?
Yeah, absolutely. The Trump administration is basically using 2 very vulnerable groups of people to consolidate their control over information and to position themselves as the go-to for all information. They're coming after science. So when you see them latch onto 2 very vulnerable groups, it's very dangerous. They're going to make pregnant people or people who are going to become pregnant afraid to use something that science has established is very safe.
So obviously there's been lots of people and organizations trying to counter this statement by the president, Health Canada, WHO, all those things. I wonder whether you're seeing evidence, though, that because of the role of the president, because of the authority that he wields, the power he wields, whether you're seeing misinformation being spread already.
Absolutely, and people are believing it. The science isn't easily digestible, and when you have a very recognizable figure throwing around really easily digestible sound bites, it's easy to latch onto that. But what I would counter is that we can't look at 1 or 2 week studies, that we have to look at the breadth of science that's available in this topic area of acetaminophen and autism. Mm-hmm. And we need to look at the quality of that science. So when they announced this last week, there was no new evidence given. It was a systematic review of several studies that, not the greatest. The studies that they pointed to the most were the studies that had methodological issues like smaller sample sizes. They had some bias in the authorship. They didn't control for confounding factors like genetics that we know are so important when it comes to autism. And then they completely glassed over and ignored the large studies that are very strong that show no link. So it's not just a discussion around the number of studies. It's also about the quality of science. And you mentioned all of the organizations, the credible ones that have been pushing back against the Trump administration on this topic. And that's what they did. They all went back and looked again just to be sure, and they've all come out reaffirming that there is no link between acetaminophen and autism.
I know Fiona's 10, so I don't know how much news she's taking in, but did she see this? And I just wonder what she made of it or what she may have said to you about it.
She doesn't normally watch the news, but she definitely hears me ranting about it in the household. So I hope that she's picking up that that mom is standing up for her best interest, that mom understands autism isn't one thing with one cause and one cure, that that she's not broken, she doesn't need a cure, she's perfect the way she is, and that Mommy's going to help the OAC steer in an evidence-based direction now and going forward.
Alina Cameron, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it and appreciate your perspective. Thanks.
Thank you.